It's pretty rare for a story from a game to be so stellar and superb that it captures the hearts of almost everyone who experiences it. However, the recent Nintendo Switch release of The House in Fata Morgana proves to be that type of story. With minimal gameplay and maximum reading, this visual novel recently garnered the attention of many after 7 critics decided to give it a 100 out of 100 score on Metacritic, making it the highest rated video game of all time on that website for but an ephemeral moment. Above all-time classics like Ocarina of Time and GTA 5. For only a breath's worth of time on the internet, my favorite story of all time received well-deserved attention from it. It's not like Metacritic is the most revered or popular rating system of all time, but it's still a solid metric to use to gauge an audience's opinion on a certain work. Fata is no exception, as aside from people who entered the novel expecting a graphically intense action game or something in the same vein, it finds nearly universal acclaim and praise from both critics and the general public. So what is the hype behind this visual novel? How was a short, text-based game where the only mechanic is pressing A to continue reading ranked higher than all-time classics like Red Dead Redemption 2 and Metroid Prime? Well, friends, the highlight of The House in Fata Morgana is not its difficulty in gameplay or its innovative design, but rather the sheer, raw beauty and tragedy expressed in its phenomenal story. This review is spoiler-free, by the way. Currently, The House in Fata Morgana, Dream of the Revenants, is 0% off on the Switch eShop, but I'm telling you, you need to 100% purchase it. The $40 price tag is honestly a steal with the potentially over 50 hours worth of content you get with it. That's right, The House in Fata Morgana is a fairly time-consuming read. If you read all the content provided, the base game is around 35 hours, Requiem for Innocence, the prequel sequel, is around 13 hours, and Reincarnation, another sequel with voice acting, is around 10 hours. It sure is an investment, but I assure you it's well worth it. Essentially, you wake up in a mysterious, dark, and eerie mansion with all of your memories missing. Yes, it's an amnesia story, but it does really well, okay? Give it a chance. You are awoken by a maid who simply refers to you as a master. You attempt to recall why you're in such a place, and the maid shows you to 3 separate doors, each leading to a frame story about people living in this mysterious manor. All 3 stories take place in different times and even different locations, like the 1600s, 1700s, and even the 1800s, leading you to once again ponder the true nature of the mansion. Each story shown to you is a tragedy which befalls the characters within the mansion, and after all 3 are shown to you, the maid asks you if you can bear your own tragedy pertaining to the mansion. Your investment in the story will probably largely depend on your connection with the 2 main leads, the mystery behind their nature, and the tragic frame stories within the doors of the mansion, and the presentation. Because at this point you've probably been wondering, but without any gameplay, how can something possibly engage me for so long? Well, that's why we must dive into presentation. Look, I'm no artist, but I can definitely appreciate good art when I see it, so it makes me very happy to say that Fata has some of the most visually stunning and beautiful art for its CGs, or scenic events, where the artist Momotaro takes time to illustrate a scene instead of just using character models against the background. Each scene is drawn beautifully, with a more gothic style of art that still looks like it takes its influence from Japan. Each character remains consistent throughout with memorable designs that are difficult to confuse. They're all unique and even historically accurate. The designs also just look beautiful. Everyone has an almost ethereal beauty to them that kind of just grabbed my attention while I was reading. The actual locations and backgrounds within the CGs also look amazing. It feels like they were taken from a painting from an actual location in France or Italy or wherever the scene takes place. And aside from those CGs, the actual background of the mansion and surrounding areas looks great, and the character models in front of them are expressive, consistent, and just as attractive to look at. Visually, it's like a feast for the eyes for someone who loves gothic work. And that's only the visual side, but for fans of the auditory side, like me, don't worry because the music is really on another plane of existence. Each track feels like it was composed to suit the specific situation it was needed in, while also being pleasurable to listen to outside of actually reading the novel. I find myself listening to certain tracks almost daily. Some like Ciao, Karina, and Ephemera really set a mood and tone for a scene, and I could listen to them for hours. On the other hand, you have tracks like Giselle, which are saved for the incredibly emotional moments and still make me tear up when I listen to them half a year after I've already completed the whole thing. The soundtrack is incredibly strong, with near no misses. It's actually my favorite soundtrack in any work of fiction ever. I don't know any higher praise than that. Beautiful music and beautiful art is one thing, but how about the story itself? Luckily, even more so than the visuals and music, the actual story of the house in Fata Morgana is beautiful. Well, beautifully tragic. It's impossible to go into detail now without spoiling, but Fata doesn't shy away from the darker and more gritty side of humanity. It's not afraid to show our faults and weaknesses, how we can fall short and how we can fail other people. Each character is fully developed and realized, and we see their faults and can sympathize and even empathize with them. However, it's obvious that the story we follow is not full of heroes or villains or gods or deities. It's full of humans. They're flawed individuals who have their own convictions, desires, and motivations. It's a beautiful exploration of the human condition. Something else I absolutely adore about Fata is its use of perspective. It doesn't hesitate to show you everyone's thoughts about a situation. Not only does this develop their character, it develops the relationships between these characters. The House in Fata Morgana gains strength in its medium because it's a visual novel, and it allows for easy switches in perspectives. And this storytelling method actually lends well and builds up one of Fata's main messages. It's impressive how the team at Novexical managed to balance so many different people from different places and merge them all into a story, which didn't remove their individual traits but instead embraced them and helped them complement other characters in the cast. It's honestly stellar. The themes are powerful and hit hard. The messages left have a lasting impression on my life, and it's really unforgettable. It's not tragic for the sake of being tragic or sad for the sake of being sad. It's tragic because the cast is full of love, and unfortunately, love can lead to tragedy. Fata Morgana has one of the most powerful messages of love I've ever seen. The difficult to read moments only enhance the later happy and fulfilling and cathartic moments. The story is paced very well for the most part, aside from Door 2, which is pretty good still, with entertaining dialogue to help you keep engaged. It also has descriptive storytelling which not only complements the CGs, but also fills your mind with beautiful images. The prose is beautiful and keeps my mind active all the time while I read. And this amazing story and storytelling applies to the other installments as well, and maybe even more so for some people. Requiem for Innocence is regarded by many to be one of the best parts of the whole Fata experience. I can't talk about any details at all, really, because it is very spoilery, but it is quite the experience. It adds so much to the base game. It develops two integral characters so much to the point where I love them just as much as the lead duo, if not even more. It's another heartbreaking tragedy of how terrible actions can lead us further away from our goal, even if they had good intentions. And Reincarnation, well, I can't speak about that because I haven't read through it yet, but I'll let someone else do it. Here's my friend on Twitter. Go check him out. This is his account. He's pretty cool. A Trick, you're the best. And he's also the one who recommended Fata to me, so thank you. So basically, Reincarnation gives more context into the themes, character nature and behavior, and their personalities. It also has a good amount of short stories. All the short stories are character-centric, so they're all just character interactions or characters thinking. Overall, if you need a reason to read Fata Morgana, just know that it is one of the most powerful, tragic love stories of all time. With a rich cast, beautiful presentation, and what seems to me like near-perfect writing, it's impossible to go wrong with the house in Fata Morgana. So buy it now, while it's 0% off on Switch, and go play one of the highest rated games of all time.